For the new harp players out there,
Mm-hmm.
what do you like to hear from another harmonica player? When you're sitting in the audience and you're listening to a harp player do their thing,
Mm-hmm.
what do you like to hear?
Well, I like to hear cohesiveness. I like to hear tone and phrasing. A sense that and dynamics. Not playing all one level. A lot of times I'll invite guys that are kind of like, for lack of a better word, my proteges, so to speak. I say that loosely, but simply because they're just kind of starting to learn and they hang around at my gigs. And so occasionally I'll, when I'm doing some jamming or I call guys up, I say, okay, you come on up too. And a lot of times they'll just say it might be a kind of a slower song or softer song, and they've got the thing cranked up. So hey, just take it easy. Get under the singer. Get under. I mean, all those things. Any musician. He ultimately has to learn those kind of basics. But yeah, a lot of times the harp is just, it'll be the softest, sweetest song. So, but tone is important. That's very important because, again, most of the time when guys are starting out, they haven't developed a tone. It's very thin sounding, and thus it's not very effective.
Growing up in the blues, you've had the opportunity to be around a lot of great players, and,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're and have been for a long time the echelon of the top players. But along that way, what was some advice given to you, shared with you from other great players that you might be able to share with our audience?
Well, as I stated, I spent a considerable amount of time around Cotton and Junior and Kerry and Big Walter and many other guys. And they didn't, the only thing that, Kerry Bell said in terms of solos, play what fits, okay?
Yeah.
But these guys didn't verbally instruct me so much as just cutting my head so enough till I'd better figure it out if I had the nerve enough to get on stage with them. And that was, I wrote that tune on Harp Attack, New Kid on the Block, and it tells a story, and it's so beautiful that the guys that I'm singing about are on the record and we're able to laugh and joke about it. But, like they say, necessity is the mother of invention. You keep going to the play lot, and every time you go to the play lot, they're kicking your butt. Well, eventually you're either going to stop going to the play lot or learn how to whip some ass.
Yeah.
You got to come on with it, and that's pretty much what happened to me. I said I refused to stop coming, so I had to learn. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't like they sat down and instructed me in those terms, but they did instruct me. And it was from trial and error and just picking myself up, dusting off, and getting back in there. Getting back in the ring, if you want to put it like that. I just kept coming back for more.
And now you're the elder statesman of the blues.
Yeah,
What's
don't
your...
say it like that.
Let's see if we can change the wording.
No, it's good. I'm just
So you're now the experienced blues harp player, giving suggestions to people. So what's your suggestions to harp players?
Stay out of show business. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, listen, and every opportunity that you have to be around an accomplished harmonica player that you dig, by all means, do it. Go see, go listen, go, be around it, absorb. And then, of course, listen to the recordings, listen and practice. Practice, you got to practice. I look back, when I used to practice, it didn't seem like practicing, but I know I did because I learned those particular songs. You know, some I would say also take a select song or several songs and learn at least part of that song to the best of your ability, note for note. Learn some of those solos, like for example, classic, Little Walter is probably the most imitated and repeated solos of any in the blues genre, or like juke. I play juke, and I would say I've got it down to maybe 95% note for note. Because every time I listen to it, especially if I have headphones, I can hear. I said, oh, wow, I didn't catch that note. And because he does so much stuff in there. There's so much. But to learn classic solos is a good thing. That doesn't mean you just repeat them all your life, but it's good because, in a classic song, it's almost as if there was only one right solo, and that was the solo.
I like that.
Now, it's just like it had to be that series of notes. But everybody's trying to cop these Little Walter solos note for note. And you got to realize, too, but here's the other side of that coin. When Little Walter did Juke, the one that we are familiar with, the one that we all try to play, he never played that version of Juke twice. He did. That was it. Because he was playing that from inspiration, improvisation. And they say, okay, take two. Take two ain't going to sound like that. It was just that one, which again was probably that song is perfect, man. It takes you somewhere. You're going on a journey, and that's the beauty of and a sign of a good musician and a good solo. You feel like you're going somewhere. It's not you're being thrown around or pushed or shoved. You're going for a ride. And even if it's a fast ride or if it's a slow ride, but there's a definite beginning, there's a definite in between, and there's a definite final destination. There's a sense of resolve, if you will. So, which is consistent with, again, what I said earlier about telling the story. It's got to tell that story.